Welcome to The Explainer. So I am absolutely thrilled about today's topic because honestly, we're looking at something that challenges just about every single instinct we have in modern software development. We're doing a complete teardown of a reading app called Wisdom. We'll use it as our main case study for minimalist, offline-first mobile architecture. We're going to see exactly how it was built on Expo SDK 55, and honestly, more importantly, the very deliberate choices they made about what they were absolutely not going to build.
Now, you might be wondering, why did most apps ship like 18 months late? Think about it for a second. Most app briefs, when they cross your desk, they arrive completely overspecified, right? Before a single line of code is even written, the requirements document is already demanding user accounts, real-time cloud syncs, instant push notifications, recommendation engines. The list just goes on and on. The scope balloons immediately.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the bloated app problem. Then, the four-screen architecture, the essential kept features, the power of subtraction, and finally, the bleeding edge stack.
All right, part one, the bloated app problem. Let's talk about feature creep.
Take a look at this list of standard, honestly pretty heavy features. If you're building a content app, the temptation is always to add a feed, right? And then, obviously, you need a personalization model to sort that feed. Well, then you need user accounts to sync that personalization, and maybe an admin dashboard to manage the whole thing. While every single one of these features is totally defensible on its own, you cram them all together and you've got a completely different product. A reading app's only real job is to put one good thing in front of someone and then just get out of the way. And here is the stark, kind of brutal reality. 2. Despite all that massive feature blow, despite a year and a half of delayed shipping and complex back-end engineering, the analytics usually show that people literally only use 2 screens in the app. All that extra friction, and the users just ignore it anyway.
Moving on to section 2, the four-screen architecture. Let's see how Wisdom keeps it minimal.
And this brilliantly illustrates the entire structure of the app. Just 4 screens. You've got Today for one single quote, Explore to browse by topic, Search to find specific things, and Saved for the quotes you kept. That's the whole shebang. Architecturally, these 4 screens just use a shared bottom tab and a single reusable card component across all of them. It's clean, it's super maintainable, and it is 100% focused on the content.
Now, check out this guiding principle. The app opens directly on the Today screen. This is absolutely crucial. Think about it. An app that opens onto a browsable list is basically asking the user to do work, to make a decision before it actually gives them anything. Opening directly on a single curated quote means the app has demonstrably delivered value the literal second it launches. For a daily content app, that immediate delivery of value is your ultimate retention argument. It's just a screen order decision, not some massive complex feature, but man, it changes everything.
All right, on to section 3, the essential kept features. Let's look at what actually made the cut. So a massive amount of attention went into the typography system here. They kept 3 specific typefaces. You've got Playfair Display for the quotes themselves, Enter for the actual user interface, and Noto Sans is there for broad script coverage because it renders scripts the other 2 just don't handle. Now you might be thinking, isn't 3 fonts a bit much? Normally, yeah. But for a quotes app, the words literally are the entire interface. Using 3 fonts is basically the single biggest design decision in the product, making sure a profound quote doesn't end up looking like a generic settings menu.
I absolutely love this specific technical detail. They implemented a strict 10-second fetch timeout using an abort controller. Because let's be real, on a mobile phone, losing your signal isn't some rare edge case. It's a daily reality. It's a train tunnel, it's an elevator, a concrete parking garage. An app that just sits there spinning forever offline is fundamentally broken. By gracefully aborting that fetch and just saying, couldn't load, the app actually respects the user's time. It gives a polished experience even when the network totally fails.
They also kept these 2 small but super vital features, haptics and a working clipboard. A subtle little tap when you save a quote, and a copy to clipboard function that actually grabs the text reliably every time. It only takes 1 Expo module for each, but these are exactly the kinds of finishing touches that make a lean reading app actually feel incredibly premium and native.
Which brings us to section 4, the power of subtraction. Let's talk about what was left out.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer contrast. On one hand, we have what they kept, super lightweight, device-local features like A storage and those 3 typefaces. But what they deliberately tossed out is kind of staggering for a modern app. No sync backends, no global state libraries like Redux or ZuneStand, and absolutely no accounts. None.
So why omit these massive pillars of app development?
Well, skipping accounts means no auth flows, no password resets, no huge privacy policies for user databases, and a drastically reduced support load. Sure, the trade-off is that if you get a new phone, your saved list is empty. But for a free app, dodging a mandatory login wall prevents you from losing a huge chunk of your users on day one. Plus, you don't really need a heavy global state library when React's built-in state handles 4 screens perfectly well on its own, and zero sync, that completely sidesteps turning a beautifully simple reading app into a massive distributed systems nightmare.
And consider this guiding principle. The right time to ask for notification permission is after the app has demonstrably delivered value. They deliberately left out instant push notifications on cold launch. Now, a daily quote app is obviously a prime candidate for push notifications, right? But asking the second the app opens is a huge mistake. On iOS, that prompt is one shot. If they hit no because you haven't earned their trust yet, they are gone. And let's be honest, almost nobody goes digging back into their phone settings to turn them back on.
Okay, let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds out. The bleeding edge stack.
Wisdom was built on Expo SDK 55, React Native 0.83, and React 19. If you follow mobile dev at all, you know this is practically bleeding edge. It is a highly modern technology stack driving this extraordinarily lean architecture. But of course, jumping on brand new SDKs comes with some very real trade-off. Let's objectively weigh this out. On the pro side, starting fresh on these versions gives you current React semantics, the new architecture runtime, and best of all, zero migration debt from day one. You're not starting a project that already needs an upgrade. But on the cons side, you pay for that with a much thinner ecosystem. Third-party libraries might lag months behind, and when you inevitably get stuck, all those Stack Overflow answers are going to be referencing old, moved APIs.
So the crucial point is how you decide when to actually take that risk. The developers of Wisdom use this sort of golden rule. Use the newest SDK for small dependency surfaces and stay one release behind for large ones. Because Wisdom is just 4 screens utilizing only 5 Expo modules and 2 navigation packages, their exposure to that thin ecosystem risk is incredibly small. If they were pulling in, say, 30 native dependencies, that math would flip entirely.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, provocative question to ponder. Is your app actually adding features, or is it just adding categories of work? The story of Wisdom shows us that removing integrations, accounts, and complex backends is often what actually makes an app elegant, fast, and cost-effective. Sometimes, the absolute most powerful design choice you can make is deciding what you absolutely do not need to build.